Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday live stream. And what a day it is. As if you haven't noticed, we've gone below 60,000 a couple of times so far. So we're going to take a look at what that means. And then we're going to go over some nuances. We're going to talk about trends. We're going to talk about the short term, the medium term, and the long term trend. And I'm not here to give you a bunch of hopium and just say, hey, buy every dip. It's going to be awesome. It's not. It's going to suck. I'm going to tell you why that is. So let's just break into it. And yeah, so it looks like Bitcoin went below 60,000 yet again, as there's been recession fears. We talked about this the last 3 or 4 different videos that we've done. I've talked about quite extensively about why recessions are not the worst of end all be all, and it's not like it's going to last forever. Just like uptrends, there are downtrends, and then recessions in general last on average 10 months. And there's a difference between the economy and the market. The economy is not the market is not the economy. The market actually bounces back in around 7 months on average. So if it does happen, which looks like it might, then here we go. But yeah, so Bitcoin, 59,000, you looked at your portfolio enough. I don't need to remind you. It may be up and may be down after this, but really it comes down to this. And I try to balance this channel out as best I possibly can, because if I just keep feeding you hopium and hopium and hopium, it gets to be a little much. And you're like, where the hell is like the bad news? So it really comes down to, we take a look at trends. Now, there's short-term trends, which we're going through pretty much right now, as we've seen like a trend go from 70K not too long ago down to 60K. And then, of course, there's medium-term trends, depending on the type of time frame that you put it. And there's long-term trends. Long-term for me is between 1 and 4 years. And some people say, actually, you should really make that highlight out to 10 years. Me personally, I just kind of take a look at 12 to 18 months. That would be like my longer term trend, and go from there. So right now, yes, we're having issues with the macro environment. Yes, it looks like unemployment rates have gone up. Yes, it looks like the GDP has gone down. And yes, we actually take a look at the SAM or SOM, people corrected me, rule yesterday. And looks like that's where we could be going. But let's take a look, because we talked about some bad news. I mean, obviously the price action. Let's just take a look at where things are going, which would be like the long-term trend. So this was a great video we alluded to yesterday. And we have got the VanEck CEO, which is Jan VanEck. And he's talking about how actually the whole title was kind of clickbaity. It was Bitcoin will hit 2.9 million by 2050. Let's just put that out the window, right? I don't care what's going to happen by 2050. I might even be here. I think most of us are like, where the heck are we going to go tomorrow, a year, 2 years, 4 years, and 5 years? And I think this is the trend that we're actually looking for. So the first thing I want to start with is I want to talk about, I'm going to go through this in 4 different sections. I'm going to break down what he says, and we're going to actually verify the things that he says. So he's going to talk about the ETH ETF, which they are a part of, and the Bitcoin ETF, and just kind of go from there. So I need to jump back and forth a little bit, because I want to make sure that you can actually hear this perfectly, and by enabling the audio. And there we are. Let me make sure that you can hear this. Well, it's a little too much. And this is about a minute long, so just take a listen to what he says about ETH ETFs and Bitcoin ETFs.
As well. Let's get to the excitement of the past week, and that was the launch of the Ether ETFs. Yeah. Everybody got approved. You were the first to apply for the Ether ETF, first to apply for the spot Bitcoin ETF. First of all, Ether not doing well since the launch compared to how Bitcoin had done. What are the inflows launched to date for your ETF fund?
I think they're net negative for the industry, and I think we're sort of in the 100 ballpark as far as inflows are concerned. So nothing like Bitcoin. I mean, the Bitcoin ETFs were the most successful product launch almost in ETF history. So, which is fair though, because I like to balance the Ethereum story. There's positive and negatives about it, and investors should know both.
Which do you like better, Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Bitcoin.
What's your
I'm a gold
price?
guy.
Okay.
I'm a gold guy.
Okay. So he pretty much lays it out there, and I gotta appreciate the honesty. He's like, yeah, we got both, but I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm a gold guy. So when he talked about those Ethereum ETFs and the Bitcoin ETFs, we have to take a look at, what he said, was that true? Because there's a little bit of nuances to it. So this is from Farside, and it takes a look at the Ethereum ETFs and the total net flows. And we can see that you got a lot of players in the game. You got Ether or BlackRock, Fidelity, Bitwise, blah, 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 and Grayscale. And there's two Grayscales, Grayscale ETH and Grayscale just ETH. You can see that the fees are 2.5%, which is massive compared to the other ones, and 0.15%. And we knew there was going to be dumping. We didn't know it was going to be this much dumping. And we can see it as far as like totals, which is this last column right here. The last column is 511 Ethereum. That is essentially where we're at as far as the net. We are negative. Let me say that again. We are negative flows. It has been what? 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly 2 weeks or something like that. 10 days. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Almost 10 days. So we look at that and we say, well, that's pretty junky. But remember, you know, as Grayscale starts to sell off, those individuals who actually have the Grayscale ETF, as they go into this, they're going to sell off. There are wash trading rules. So if they're going to take that for a loss, they can't get back in. Wash trading, 30 days, so on and so forth. So maybe they're just waiting to get back in because no one's really jumping in right now. But it is negative. And then people say, but Rob, you know, if we're taking a look at the ETFs, wasn't Bitcoin the exact same? I mean, and if we took a look at price action, I don't really care about price action so much. But if we take a look at flows, first of all, yeah, on Friday, it was quite a negative flow as people were selling off like crazy. You had Fidelity selling off 1,600, ARK 1,300, BitB, HODL negative 340. The only one that was buying was Grayscale, 683. And of course, Grayscale does its Grayscale-y thing, which is dump like crazy. And we were negative. But as a reminder, in the last 9-10 days or so, Ethereum ETF has been negative flows. We've never had negative flows as far as total net flows for Bitcoin. And it started off pretty modest. And of course, over here, everybody's like, oh, that was awful yesterday. It was, true, it was. But we went from 299,000 Bitcoin to 295,000 Bitcoin. But as you notice, it is the most successful. And I can understand why he said what he said, which is, hey, I'm a Bitcoin guy and I'm a gold guy. So I like Bitcoin more and I like the narrative. Whatever institutions want to do, I'm not saying you not to do. I'm just telling you, like, this is the trend. This is where things are going. I can kind of see it. But I think Ethereum will do pretty well so far. But then we get really deep into it. And he's going to talk about, since he talks about a gold, and he's a gold guy, the question's been asked is like, well, okay, if you're a gold guy, tell us about the gold market cap and how much Bitcoin will eat into that as you guys see it with your 100 billion assets under management over at Van Eck. Talk to us about, you know, what that means and central banks and quantitative easing and so on and so forth. So we're going to break into this. This one's also a very short clip. So I'm going to put this in right here. Just take a listen. This one is about a minute or so as well.
Give me your price target for the longer term with Bitcoin, because right now at about 63,000, where do you see it going?
Right. So about a year ago, I started pounding the table because eventually the Fed is going to start easing here. That's great for gold and that's for Bitcoin. What I said is Bitcoin is growing up and will be eventually half the total market cap of gold. So that's about 350,000. So quite a ways to go from here. The Super Bowls, if central banks adopt it and, you know, it's part of the monetary system, then, you know, in the millions, but I don't like to talk about that too much.
What, more than 2 million, more than 3?
Yeah, like 2.9, we've got some model, which is, you have to look at the assumptions.
Right.
Okay, I don't want to get into that because that's just as straight up crazy hopium, 2.9 million per Bitcoin. Hey, maybe, but who's going to be around? I don't really know. But you have to ask yourself this. First of all, the trend, of course, we can see where things are going. Bitcoin has been wildly successful over time. It just, you had to be here for quite some time. Right now, I know people are hurting, but I think over the longer term horizon, you're pretty good. But let's break down what he talked about. First of all, he talked about gold, and the market cap of gold is going to be half of that, which would make Bitcoin at 350K. When? We don't know when. But if we can see what the actual total market cap of gold is, it is, he's right. It's around $11.5 trillion. So if we take about half of that, let's just do round numbers. So that would be roughly 6 trillion or somewhere around there. Right now, I think Bitcoin's at, what is the market cap? $1 trillion. So if we 6x there, 6 times 60, yeah, so yeah, somewhere around there, I suppose so. So it could be happening, but again, it's a time factor. And that is the biggest thing. So that's the first part. And then he talked about how, well, you know, with the Federal Reserves and the reserve banks around the world, or central banks, you know, at some point they're going to start, and this was like last week. He's like, at some point they're going to, you know, really start firing up the money printer, which is called quantitative easing. And we take a look at that. He's absolutely right again. So this is on Ben's website. We talked about this. I think we talked about this yesterday. The M2 money supply. And I was kind of shocked when I saw this. I'm like, hey, we were at, you know, money supply of 20 trillion. Then we kind of leveled off for a bit. Hey, but America does what America does, which is money printing. We're number one at that. And we went from 20.7 trillion to 21 trillion. So not too bad. So it looks like we're doing a little quantitative easing. So check on those two. And then when he talked about central banks having Bitcoin on the balance sheet, I was like, I don't think that's true. But I do remember what Guy from Coin Bureau was talking about at one of the NFA shows. He goes, you know, on January 2025, central banks are going to be allowed to put Bitcoin and digital assets on their balance sheet. And I heard that. I'm like, that's right. I've heard that before, but where the hell did I hear that? So here's the article. And here's the actual document, which I linked in the description. You can go through the 36 pages. Have fun. But this is a statement and just an article. It says, the Bank of International Settlements, or BIS, recently released a report titled Prudential Treatment of Crypto Asset Exposure. The BIS, which essentially is the central bank for all central banks, didn't know that. BIS, central bank for all central banks, released guidelines and operating procedures on how central banks can own crypto assets on their portfolios. This comes as a surprise considering the BIS and central banks around the world have been increasingly vocal. Remember, that's in public, not private. Vocal in their opposition towards decentralized cryptocurrencies and stablecoins. The guidelines listed in the report are due to be implemented by the 1st of January 2025. So Guy was right. The report contains standards that will be used by central banks across the world to purchase crypto assets and include them on their balance sheets. It was drafted in close consultation with central bank governors across the world. So again, don't really listen to what they say. Take a look at what they are doing. And in public, they're like, this is trash. This is not going to work. This is it. Hey, you know what we should do? We should make a report on how we can actually buy this stuff. So that pretty much goes up with that. And then to finish off, this is the last piece. This is about a minute and a half or so. And it's a good question. Moderator says, or the host says, you know, well, you talk a big game, but where is your money? And I think this is the most crucial part of it, right? Because in this channel, you know, I'm biased. If I talk about it, it means I own it. So if somebody as a CEO from Van Eck comes in, the question I got to ask is like, are you just doing this for fees or do you actually believe in this? And so far it sounds pretty good, but just take a listen to this. Let me pull this up the right way. And again, about a minute and a half or so. And it's really good, I think, what he says here.
Where do you put your personal money right now?
I like longer term trends because I feel like, okay, it'll be a bumpy ride, but I like to have conviction about something that's going to happen in 5 or 10 years. To me, there's no doubt that Bitcoin is becoming adopted the way gold is. I just think it's obvious. Now, I think you have to have your own diversified portfolio, and kind of having a huge overweight to Bitcoin is a personal decision, but I just see that rising. I'll give you another example, India. The Indian economy is the best macro story. Everyone says the stocks are overvalued. I get it, but it's doubtless the Indian equities have done as well as US equities over the last 10 years and will continue to do well.
Great. I mean, so you can take a look at the global macro environment. I like what he said there. He's like, look, I have that. I believe in that. I've been a gold guy, and I can see that Bitcoin is outpacing gold. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? And if we take a look at this, like, let's just be honest. It's going to suck for a little bit. I mean, if we do have a recession, it's going to be pretty deep, I think, unless the Fed and Jerome Powell can actually orchestrate some kind of soft-ish landing. I don't know. But I just kind of see where things are trending, and I can't tell you what to do. I can't give you investment advice, but this is just the information that I can see. Yes, there's a part that's going to suck. Yes, it's going to take some time, but I think at the very end, you'll get handsomely rewarded. Not financial advice. That's just where I'm going. So let me know what you think about that in the comments section. And then lastly, I just want to share one more thing, which was, hold on. Oh, yeah. It was about the things that are said in the Xverse, Twitter, YouTube, every place, and how opinions can actually change. And I want you to remember this as time goes on. And it was shared with me, so I appreciate who did that. But it was a little piece from Kyle Clark, and Kyle is a journalist over at Next on 9 News. And I said, and just listen to this video. And when there's the whole thing is, you know, you're going to learn new things, new information is going to come up. And when new data comes in, you need to change. When things change, when data changes, I change. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. So don't get so stuck in your ways so much that you can't pull yourself out. Take a listen to this. But
we had feedback for the ages from a dude named Brad. Brad says, in your stories about the fires, it is so obvious that you are standing in front of a green screen and dressed as if you're out there. What a farce. All right, Brad, just for you. All right, got to unplug the microphone. Have a good night. Brad wrote back. Touche, Kyle. Your quick response made me smile as well. Brad says, I've learned to be more careful regarding those I listen to. I was truly impressed how quickly and humorously you responded. God bless you and yours, Brad. I respect that a ton. That guy, Brad, can 1, take a joke, and 2, change his mind based on new evidence. Do you know how much better the world would be if everybody out there could take a joke and change their mind when they get new information? That'd be a whole new world.
Yeah, but I will add a third thing. It's also best that the person that it's directed to acknowledges what was said so people can move forward. So you can do those 3 things. You know, if you can take a joke, if you can change your opinion as new data becomes available, and if someone can acknowledge that, I think this place would be a hell of a lot better. But that's just my thoughts. Anyhow, let me just think about that in the comment section. And that is it for today. I want to keep this kind of light and easy as the weekend. Go out there and touch grass, all that great stuff. But that's it for today. So first of all, thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. Like today's video, hit the like on your way out, subscribe. Now, if you want to stick around, we'll do a little Q&A. I'll answer whatever questions you guys got. And we'll go from there. We got to take off. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. Now let's get into a little Q&A. Let's see. This was this was a question that I starred before we started because I thought it was pretty good. Curie says, curious, where are all the haters that got mad when I said there's no way I'm buying 70K Bitcoin? And I was given a response, but it's a pretty nuanced response because everybody thinks that you have to buy. You have to keep buying forever. I personally have been dollar cost averaging, so I probably bought around there at some point. Everything kind of goes off intermittently on Coinbase and the DCA strategy as it just bing, bing, bing. But I would just say like this: it's not so much about the people that say that. It's also about what's your personal goals and where do you want to be. We know that Michael Saylor says he's going to keep buying the tops, right? Good for him. He's a billionaire, great. And then for us, maybe it's not a good idea. But at some point, maybe, and depends on your strategy, like at some point, Curie in like a couple of years might be like, hey, you know what? I want to buy some more Bitcoin. And he comes back and maybe Bitcoin's at, maybe in a couple of years, Bitcoin's at 20K. Maybe Bitcoin's at, the CEO of VanEck at 350,000. But at some point you have to come back if you want to get back in there and buy it. And there's always going to be someone that says, see, you should have bought more. But the thing is, people have to remember is this: there's a dip and you buy dips. Then it goes up, then it goes down, doesn't matter. So you buy a dip, and then before you know it, you're like, I got no money, I'm all dipped out. So at some point, it's not like you have to buy everything. Maybe you can wait, maybe you can do whatever. So whatever people want to pigeonhole someone else into is their own opinion. But to me, I just kind of see it as kind of ridiculous. There's so many different strategies, and you should just keep what's best for you and your family. That's it. And then Frank the Tank says, we're not going to go lower than 50K. It is shaking people out before the next leg. I don't know. But what if it does? Let me ask you guys a question. And we talk about this, about the risk levels over on Ben's site. And we took a look at Bitcoin. I think one of the lowest risk band it could be was 17,500. Now, does that mean it's going to hit that? No. It just means like that is the lowest risk band it could go. Some people might say, well, it's going to go to zero, Rob. Sure. I've been hearing that since I've been in crypto since 2017. It's not going to zero. It's dumb. But we take a look at it. Maybe it does go down. Could you handle that? And then the question is some people say, yeah, I can handle that. If it goes from today, 59, 60K and goes right down to 70K, I'm on it, baby. I can do that. Here's another question. Can you do that if it goes down over the next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months? Can you see it go down from, because I got to tell you, it's not the wild dips and highs that crush a crypto investor's spirit. What crushes the spirit, I think, is it just going like this, straight and very little fluctuation. Or if it starts to go down very, very slowly. That's the game that is the hardest to play. What could you do? Let me know what you think about that in the comments. I'd love to see what people say about that one. Because to me, it's tough. But quite honestly, most days I'm looking at them like, thank God, because I didn't buy enough. Anyhow, we'll see from there. Dustin Shadow says, did you ever see the table showing how much Bitcoin you should own based on your personal net worth? I have not. That would be interesting to see. Again, everybody's different, so I don't know how accurate that would be. Maybe I'd give you like a ballpark figure, right? Kind of like my Bitcoin prediction for next year, which is going to be between $5 and $500,000. Somewhere in between there, you know, if it's something like that, yeah. Rob Terminator versus Robocop, who wins? Well, I think it's probably the Terminator. I mean, Robocop is still human inside, so you have to make a lot of different choices, and I don't know. Good question. Hey, Rob, as always, thanks for the update. Class of 2020 here. Congratulations for sticking around. I know it's not easy. I know a lot of people have left, but that's just how it goes. True. Solstice says, if Bitcoin reaches 500,000 today, you look really dumb, Rob. It is. I look super foolish. If it did that today, it's a good point. But I would trot myself out here and I would jump into that green screen, do a cannonball, and I would get out with my banana hammock on, and I would say, you know what? I missed that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I did not call the 500K. And now I will be buying islands in the Caribbean. I will see you later. No, that's not true. I would probably, you know, there comes a point when, like, you know, you make enough, and everybody's going to figure this out, when you have to have purpose in life. And I think that's the bigger thing, the bigger issue you have to ask yourself. Look, if you're here right now, I'm going to share a secret with you. You're probably going to do pretty damn well as far as economically. So start to think about what your purpose would be if you don't have to go to work or have that soul-sucking 9-to-5 job. That's the bigger question. I had to go through that in 2016. Not easy. I'll, at some point, if you guys meet me at the next Bitcoin convention, I'll tell you how it worked. Moving to Vegas, it was not a good idea. Time in more ways than one. Exactly. Don't panic. He who buys wins. Leroy's, yeah, exactly. I want you to screenshot that. That it could be true. Class of 21. Green for the Portugal. I do like that area. I heard they're doing a type of Bitcoin citizenship. If you have a certain amount of Bitcoin, you can get a citizenship, no questions asked. I think that was there was an article that was put out by Cointelegraph. I didn't take a look into it, but I thought it was interesting that you could get a citizenship just by having enough Bitcoin. Crazy. DACA strategy to go into recession. There's a link in the description, and it talks about time and risk bands. I want you to watch that video. That's essentially what I'll be doing. And this isn't going to go over well with a lot of people, what I'm about to say, but it's true. At some point, Bitcoin will get slaughtered, and it will go back down. Nothing goes up forever. And if the 4-year cycles are correct, things are going to, get pretty wonky and go down. So there's a time when you want to actually buy Bitcoin and have cash on the sidelines. If you don't have any cash, and you're just on Bitcoin, what do? Some people say, well, I'll just take a loan against Bitcoin. Okay, if you do that, what happens when you get margin called? You have nothing to put in. I'll just put more Bitcoin in. I'll just put more Bitcoin in. Okay, when do you run out? And if you have that much Bitcoin, I don't think it's going to really work out for. I mean, I think you don't really need to be here, right? So there's that part. So for me, there's a reason why I still invest into our sports facility, still help out with that, and it's paid for. There's still a reason why we dabble in real estate and keep certain land and certain long-term and short-term rentals. And people would say, why don't you just sell that stuff and put it all into Bitcoin? You could, and it'll probably pay off massively. I'm not going to say it's not, but there is a nice way of not having to worry so much and just say, hey, the guy at the end of the day who has the least worries is the winner. So in this situation, If we go into recession, there's multiple streams of revenue to come in, which is just fiat cash, and that can get funneled into Bitcoin. And that's why we take a look at time and wristbands. Watch that video below. You'll see what I'm talking about. It'll make a lot more sense. William says, in life, you will suffer one of two pain points: the pain of buying the dip or the pain of regret, right? Or the pain that you don't do. The things that you don't do are the biggest regrets on your deathbed. That's the big takeaway from an expose about what the elderly have said are their biggest regrets. Options says, I can see another 3 years of bear market. Bitcoin going to 12K. Well, there you go. Maybe so. I hope it goes fast. Right? It says, will you buy more Bitcoin? I just bought Bitcoin today, matter of fact. I used Coinbase Advanced. Very easy to use. I shut up the DCA and just kind of went in there and put a limit order. It's pretty cool because you just go in there and say, okay, whatever the Bitcoin price was at 60,000 something. And I said, if it goes down 1%, then buy Bitcoin. And it triggered. Maybe in a couple of days, it goes down way below that. Maybe it goes up. I don't know. Moneyman says, Rob, was it easy for you to transfer from healthcare to crypto? It was a progress. It was a progression. It went from, it was always healthcare, and then the facility, and then the real estate, and the online education center for medics and nurses. And then it just kind of steamrolled into crypto in 2017. I was already not really doing much in 2016, so it wasn't that hard. 2017 was just, it was just like, what do I do with this cash? I want other assets to get into. And I was like, wow, this number goes up, because that's what everybody gets into first. And then you start to do the research like, oh, this is why I should dollar cost average. That's what I did in 2018. So it wasn't difficult because I don't think it's difficult for most people. I think the most difficult thing for people is to understand why Bitcoin is going to outpace everything moving forward. Because you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Just takes the time. Jose says, Rob, your thoughts on a stunted, non-existent alt season? It could happen. Historically speaking, it does not happen like that. There's always some kind of massive altcoin season. People say, well, it already happened. It's not going to happen again. We're just going to go into another great altcoin depression. And I can tell you that I don't think that it's going to work like that. I think we just are going to see some rate cuts, whether that intermeetings in August, probably September, who knows. The rate cuts happen, quantitative easing, printers get fired up, excess liquidity goes in the market. That funny money we call fiat is going to find its way into Bitcoin, and the gamblers are going to get into altcoins. And then there's going to be if it's not a recession now, it's going to be a pretty hefty one in 2026, 2027. That's how I see things. And I've been long many a time. Let's see. Hey, Rob, Kraken sponsored an English football team. Maybe bullish? Yeah, maybe. Depends on how much they paid. Maybe these centralized exchange didn't really work too well for FTX and the Staples Center, but hey, whatever. Near is almost $4. Awesome. If Iran strikes Israel, all bets are off. Wasn't there a bombing just recently in Istanbul? I can't remember. Everyone should have 3 different income streams or more if you can manage. The more the merrier, I guess. That's true. Bobek says, hey, Rob, some predict this bull cycle will be shorter than expected, like the top in the first quarter of 2025. Thoughts? Let's take a look at what the indicators say. Let's take a look at the MDRVZ score, the PLO multiple. Let's take a look at Fear and Greed Index and the RSI. Let's take a look at the time and wristbands when that happens and see how much is overheated. And if it is overheated, then we take profits. I don't really care. If it happens, it happens. Rob, how you doing with Tropical Storm Debbie? It's raining like crazy in Tampa. I'm not in Puerto Rico right now. We're vacationing in El Paso, Texas. We live in Puerto Rico, and I do miss that place terribly. But we had to come here. We'll be here for like 3 months, and we go back. So it's dry as hell here. I don't know. Kurt says, if 3 trillion was taken out of the market, why do you think some of that didn't find its way into Bitcoin if it's a good store of value? Because it's unproven as far as a time constraint. I think that there was some that came into it, but I think a lot of people are just going to sit on their cash. Did you know that Berkshire Hathaway just took 50% of their position out of Apple? So they're sitting on a pile of cash, which means they think that something bad is going to happen. I think what people are thinking is like, look, we don't know where the things are going to go, so we're just going to sit on some cash right now and see how bad it can get. And cash, unfortunately, to say this, cash is still king until they start printing like crazy and then they debase it. Some people don't get it, but they'll figure it out real quick. Well, probably not real quick. Probably take time. Yeah, Uzi says, you said you're making a video about Coinbase fees and advanced options. Uzi, I've still yet to do it, but don't worry, because no one's taking profits right now. But I'll get it out to you hopefully before the massive bull run starts. I didn't know that. I find the Cash App is pretty good rates. There you go. Guys, use the Cash App. I want to say it's near 0%, 0.12 maybe. Gotsman got me some. That's funny. Short at the 50K, then long out of it. You could do that. I'm not doing that. Gregor says, have you updated your Cardano? No 0.1.0. The guys over there are responsible. Looks like they sent me a message yesterday. Looks like there's updates going on. So I think we're already set. Not for sure if that's what you're referencing, but this is what the team tells me over at the D New stake pool for Cardano. So we'll see. If you guys want to earn some extra cash, you can stake extra cash, extra Cardano. You can stake your ADA on the D New stake pool. How do you do that? Links in the description. CME Gap filled out a wick to 55K likely. Man, I hope so. Mohammed says, what do you think about Caspa coin? I own some. Hope it does well. Jeremy Da Vinci, one of the legends of the OG space, who got into Bitcoin when it was like a nickel. I don't know. Nah, it was maybe it was $10. I don't remember. But he's big on Caspa. And I met him Nashville in Tennessee, and I was going to ask him. I just slipped my mind. So go over to his channel and ask him, why are you so big on Caspa? But yeah, I bought a while ago, but probably not as much as I should have. Hey, Pepin or Pay. I'm good. Everything's good. Vatican says, hey, Rob, can near hit $50 with $50 billion market cap by 2025? Anything's possible. I sure hope so, because I got a lot of near. I think it's a great chain. But again, it's all businesses, right? Ecosystem, businesses, projects, same stuff. It's just, are you going to get adopted? How many are using it? What's the hype around it? How good's the marketing? It's a whole host of things. And you can screw up anywhere along that continuum line to make things crash. Look, like I've always given the example, Voyager was a great product until it wasn't. Until they made some pretty stupid mistakes, and then here we are. There is no massive bull run coming. It's over. Bronco sounds like he shorted somebody. I hate Coinbase fees. Try the Coinbase Advanced. I think you'll be happy with that. Or if you can get away with it, use Binance. Somebody else that isn't such high. Barbie still made that video on how to make strawberry cheesecake. That is the other one. That is my other channel, Culinary Dan. So Dan Degen, Culinary Dan, and Digital Asset News. Oh man. Solza says, Rob, my mom invested $25,000 into some bank thing. T-bills or something? Hopefully it wasn't, I don't know. And it ran out last week. Oh, great. You have advice on how I can make it as easy as possibly possible for her to buy Bitcoin? There's numerous ways. I know people aren't going to like this answer, but an ETF, I mean, if you want to get exposure, you can do it that way. But thankfully, Solstice, you as the son can say, hey, Mom, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to do a centralized exchange. I'm going to show you how to use a Tangent wallet or a Ledger or something like that so you can store it. You're going to have a seed phrase. I'm going to have the seed phrase. We're going to make sure we don't lose this and go from there. Again, this is why like people say, well, ETFs suck and you should never get on ETFs. Some people just don't want to do that. I don't care how you get into it. Let her ease her into it. That's what I say. Don't just go full tilt. Like, hey, don't lose that 24-word seed phrase and I'll be checking on you. And, also want to use you on Coinbase Advanced and make sure you're shorting and longing. Just make it simple. Rob, your bear Sol target this cycle. The bearish move is a penny. The most bullish move will be between $10,000 and $25,000 per Solana. 30,000. All right, Tagger. What do you think of Aerodrome? Finance and base narrative? If it's on base, it's probably do pretty decent. I mean, base just had a massive amount of users and TVL, so we'll see how it works out. There is, and as a reminder, there is no token for base, everybody. If you get something that says, hey, they're buying to this or buying to that, base doesn't have a token. Investors getting rinsed. Let's see, how bad is it? Pull this up. Let me refresh this. Maybe, holy smokes, it is pretty bad. 58,000. Well, that's a bummer. Well. Oh, 58,911. We might still see it. Let's see. 4.2. Solana's getting crushed. 27% down for the week. That's why I'm always talking about taking profits. Whatever. No one listens to me. That's okay. I'm just kidding. Some people do. NIR is down 25%. Wow. Who's the biggest loser? Pepe, 32% for the week. ASI, 28, 22, 30%. Can you imagine somebody coming from traditional finance and seeing this happen in like an hour wick or a 7-day wick? I shouldn't say 7 day, a 7-day wick. A 7-day price change or an hour day or a 24-hour price change. They would lose their mind. They'd be like, this is insane. That's why I think you should start with crypto. Actually, no, excuse me. You should start with traditional equities and get your feet wet and then come over with the big boys, where you have to have nerves of steel, ice in the veins to trade this nonsense. Look at this. Wow. 32% down. What? My bonk is down 32%. Well, that sucks. So far, 32% bonk is pretty bad. 24% for Gala. Well, look at that. A meme coin didn't do great. Crazy. How about Toncoin? Hey, Toncoin. I just bought some of that this morning, matter of fact. Anyhow, you guys are right. Not looking too good. What are you going to do? Let's see. What's wrong with Swan? I don't know. I know that they cut staff. I want to say 50 or 70%. And they were going strong, but just didn't make it. I know some people said, well, maybe I shouldn't have done some parties and done all these contributions and marketing. But hey, sometimes things don't work out. I wish them the best. Can I DCN Coinbase events? I haven't found that to be able to do that, but if you could, it'd be great. If someone knows, let me know. But I haven't found it. Aerodrome, I don't know what that is. Tyson, but it'll probably do great in the bull run. Have fun with your Bitcoin, whatever else you're playing with. That's a direct quote from 45, Presidente Trump, which we did a video yesterday on it and actually did pretty well. I was surprised. I thought people would just like click on the video, watch 5 seconds and go, I hate this. But people listened. And that's the big thing, like we just talked about. Listen, when things change, you should change. But some people are like, nah, that's it. I don't want to. And I don't care who you vote for. I can't vote. I live in Puerto Rico. Can't vote for the president. Ooh, wow. Skynet says, markets are down far enough to where I lost over 50,000 in 2 days. No worries by the dip. Well, remember, Skynet, it's not a loss until you sell. So this is just an unrealized loss. So next time you hear anything about Janet Yellen from the Treasury saying, we want to tax unrealized gains, just say, that's cool, you can do that, but make sure that I can take these advantages for the unrealized losses that I keep taking in crypto. And if you're cool with that, sign that bill. My CPA is going to get rich off of that. I think that's it, everybody. Darren says, Rob, what's your favorite way to work out every day? This is simple. When you start to get in your 50s, and it just kind of sucks because you want to stay in shape and things like that. You want to be able to lift your grandkids and whatever. For you young kids, you're not going to understand this. But it's important that, actually, there was a great thread. But here's all I do. I don't eat breakfast. It's only black coffee until lunch or so. And then I take a stack of these electrolytes, creatine, and multivitamin. And then I just work out every day with resistance bands. And that's it. I don't go to the gym. I do as many push-ups as I can, like in the military. And that's all. And I try to, oh yeah, and the big thing is I cut out all carbs and sugar as much as possible and just eat as much protein as I possibly can. It's hard though. Yeah. Wait till you get into this age. Ooh, it hurts. Red Canyon. Rob, how do you gift crypto on Tangent? Good question. I send this to my kids and my grandkid for Christmas, and it's very simple. Whoever it is you want to gift, per se, they have to have a wallet. That's the only way it works. So you can do one of two things. You can have them make like an online hot wallet. Depends on what you want to send, right? If it's, Solana, it's going to be Phantom wallet. If it's Bitcoin, there's a whole host of wallets. If it's Ethereum, MetaMask. Or you can just say, hey, I'm going to gift you a Tangent, which is the easiest thing that you can possibly use, in my personal opinion. And just send me your, and you got to show them, send me your address. And that's how I gift it. And so you knock out two birds with one stone. You gift them, well, actually, you knock out three birds with one stone. You use my affiliate link, which you don't have to use it. You can go right to Tangent, but you don't get 10% off. Just saying. And then the thing is, you actually buy them another gift, which is a Tangent wallet, and then you give them crypto. And the Tangent wallet's like, I don't know. It depends if you want a 2-pack or a 3-pack. It's like around $40, 35. Sometimes it's 55 if you go in a 3-pack. It's relatively cheaper than a Ledger, just saying. And then you show them how to actually transport funds. And then you say, I'm going to send you some. I'm going to do a test transaction of, Solana or whatever, or Bitcoin. Did it get there? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to send you some. You send them the rest. You say, no, send me back some. I'm going to show you how to do it. And then you do, like I said, you teach, you show, educate. And that's it. Soul is a steer here. Rob, for the president of Puerto Rico. That'd be the most wasted vote you can do. Gonna reach 50K, maybe. Oh, I didn't know that. Aerodrome is the main liquidity token on base, I guess. I think, what else did I miss here? Carnivore diet, yeah. Resistance bands are good to recover from injuries. I use them for everything. 54 hertz, yeah. I just played in a tournament yesterday. I was playing from 9 in the morning to like 5 at night. About 4:30. It hurts. Oh, wow. Hey, Ricky. Been a long time since, yeah, it's been a long time. As long as the guys buy the dip in DCA. Sounds good. Shay says yield curve hasn't even uninverted yet. And Shay is correct. Check this out. Macro, what he's talking about. I'm looking for the spread. So this is the yield curve, the treasury yield curve. Usually it's supposed to look like this, meaning when you purchase treasuries, T-bills, whatever, it gets more APY as you go from like a 1 month to a 6 month to a 3 year to a 7 year to a 20 year to a 30 year, right? Because it's longer time frame. Unfortunately, right now, what's really risky is right now, T-bills are 5.54%, which doesn't really keep up for inflation, whatever. 5.29, 4.88, and going over 30 years, you get 4.11. But what you want to look at is the spreads. And what you want to notice here, this is the 10 and 3. You can do 10 and 2, it doesn't matter. I mean, it pretty much predicts it. But once you go onto this line, meaning inversion, it missed it on this one. The 60s, it inverted, and uninverted, and there was no recession. Miracle. But in this next one, the 70s, it went underneath that layer. It went underneath the line, uninverted, fat recession. Over here in 1973, it inverted, went above, uninverted, recession. Same thing in 78, 1980. Where am I going? Let's go to something more modern. 2000, we saw an inversion here in July. Uninverted, went back to base, recession. Same thing here. It inverted, uninverted in 07, 08, bounced around, recession. And actually, you know what? Look at this one. Well, it didn't happen here. I forgot about this one. 2019. It inverted, uninverted, no recession in September. Although it did happen in 2020. That was because of the cerveza sickness. And now here we are here. It's been a long time. We have inverted and we have not uninverted to zero. And that's when they say recessions happen. So it's something to look at. Keep your mind active. Yeah. And then Thunderberg says recessions don't happen. We print out of them. I sure hope so. That's what I'm banking on. Let's see. Doge says, can we buy meme coins at the moment? Sure. I like to buy Doge meme coin upcoming. Sure. Just remember, there's two videos I'd like. There's one video I'd like you to watch on meme coins. It's called the half and half method. It's in the description of every one of my videos. And it's right below the video where I talk about when I'm going to sell 80% of all my crypto. So half and half method and 80%. Watch those two. Amy says, Rob, go vegan. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself. One of the like the oldest living individuals on the planet is a vegan. And it sounds good. I tried it for like a year and it was awful. Like, I just can't get into it. I can't. Like, I don't know if there's certain blood types or there's certain genetics that are more predisposed to being a vegan. It's not going to happen. I just can't do it. Sounds good, but when is the last time you had a tomahawk steak? Let me tell you, very hard to put down. Rob, can you call Ben and tell him to slow down the Bitcoin dominance? Ben's going to be proven right, I think. I think it's going to hit 60%. When everybody was like, it's never going to happen again, I think he's going to nail it. It just took a long time to do it. I don't know if it's a long time, but dude, I'm 36 and already a wreck. It gets worse. It gets worse. John, thanks. Benjamin, summer lulled in full swing. Yes, I have to agree. John says 50s are a fun age. It is pretty nice. You don't get wrapped up in nonsense anymore. Jody says, thanks again for the beer. He says, Rob, you look great. Keep with the good work. Diet, exercise, get rid of the belly. Bellies are tough. I'm just going to leave you guys with this. It's easier to stay in shape than get in shape. Just remember that. I know it's tough to invest. It's tough to get in shape, but you can do it. It just takes time and effort and energy. And you'll be fine. And I think the last thing I'll say is this. Health is wealth. Doesn't matter if you're a billionaire. If you're sick and out of shape and can't really move, it does you absolutely no good. So that's it for today. So look, everybody, great segue. Go touch grass, go work out, go relax, go have a great day. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. Like and subscribe on the way out. It's not like YouTube's going to notify you anyhow. I'll try to get more consistent on the time frames, but it's tough. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great week. It's probably going to be pretty bumpy. Get ready. Adios.